Hey there! So if this is the first video you're watching, you missed part 1. In part 1, we made this main long section, the main part of the Santa hat. You can skip to part 1 by clicking the link on the screen now in the description below, or by going to clubcrochet.com/Santa hat. So really quick, I just realized I need to take out these stitch markers, so that's what I'm doing here. We'll move that out of the way. So since the last video, I have sewn on the buttons for the button-on ears that we'll be adding in video 3. Yeah, so now we'll be making the brim. In this video, we'll be making the brim and the pom-pom, and then in video 3, we'll be making the sewing on the ears. So let's get some yarn here. Okay, so I got my white yarn here. That's what we'll need to continue. And what we want to first do is we can pull a stitch out. Just let's do 2 stitches out. Okay. And get our single crochet halfway made here. And then we'll grab our white yarn of the same weight. So this is actually the same exact brand of yarn, but in white. And we'll place it over where the stitches are and where our end of our yarn is. And we'll single crochet 1 around it, and then we'll do our second single crochet that we pulled out. And before you finish this, you want to take your index finger of your non-dominant hand, for me it's my left, and I place it in between the white yarn and the red yarn, and I just flip it under, yarn over with the white, and pull it through. Now we can cut this other color yarn right there, and we can hide this in just a second. We can actually hide it in while we're crocheting though. So for the brim, you want to start by chaining to however long you feel that you want the brim. I think I usually chain to around, well, it's however long you want plus 2. So I usually do around 14 chains because I like to have brims that are about 12 chains in width. I might do a little bit less this time, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if this is how long we want the brim, which, yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good size. That's how long we want the brim. Then we'll chain 2 more. 1 and 2. Okay. And for the brim, you want to do half double crochets all the way down. So for half double crochet, you yarn over, and we'll skip our first 2 chains right here. Want to skip 1, 2, and in the 3rd chain from the hook, starting in the 3rd chain from the hook, we want to do a half double crochet in each chain all the way down until we get to the last chain, where we'll be doing something a little bit different. And when we get to these buttons, I'll show you how to make buttonholes. If you don't have the buttons, really what I'm teaching right now is the entirety of the brim, pretty much. You half double crochet all the way down until you get to the last chain. For me, that will be 11 half double crochets because there are 12 chains. So I want to stop 1 chain early. Okay, and in this last chain here, we want to get our hook in and pull a loop through. Basically, we're doing a single crochet 2 together. So you pull a loop through the first chain, and then go to the brim of the hat, go into the first stitch, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so you have 3 loops on the hook now, and then yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook. Okay, and this is going to pull it, the idea is for it to pull it like this. Okay, and now into the next few stitches. So into the next 3 stitches on the brim. So you see this is where we did the half double crochet. In these 3 stitches, you want to do a slip stitch in each. And a slip stitch, if you didn't know it, You go in, yarn over, and pull a loop through, and pull that loop through the one on the hook. It's like half of a single crochet. So we do 3 slip stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and then we turn the piece around so that your half double crochets are on the left now, and you yarn over, and we'll be doing a half double crochet into the back loops only of all the stitches all the way up. So we skip our 3 slip stitches. So here's our 3 slip stitches, skip 1, 2, 3, and in every stitch all the way up, working only in the back loops, we want to do half double crochet. So we skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and then in this one, working in the back loops, we'll just be half double crocheting all the way up. And there should be, for me, there should be 12 half double crochets, but that all depends on how long you decided to make your brim. For me, there's only 12. And I would keep it around 12. I wouldn't really go too much longer than that. Unless you're using smaller yarn, then you might want to go a little bit longer than 12 for the brim. Okay, that's the end of round 2. So for round 3, we'll turn it around again. There we go. The yarn was on the wrong side. And we will chain 2, 1 and 2. Oh, actually, before we continue this round, let's actually hide these stitches in. So grab a darning needle, and we'll hide the white yarn first. Thread our white yarn here. And we're just going to work into a few stitches just so we can hide it away. And then we can cut it pretty short, pretty close to the end there. We'll do the same with our red yarn here. And you could hide this later if you wanted. You didn't really have to hide it right now, but I just kind of want to get it out of the way so we don't have to worry about it in a little bit. So we'll just hide it in. Okay. There we go. Okay, and we'll cut it. All right, let's get back to the brim. We're on round 3 of the brim. And now I'm going to go back. So pretend I just finished round 2. For round 3, we want to chain 2. And then working in the back loops of all the stitches all the way down except for the final one. So for me, that's 11 stitches because there were 12 stitches up. You want to half double crochet working in the back loops only, meaning the loops furthest away from you. Skip the chains, of course. And we'll just half double crochet all the way back down. In rounds 2 and 3 are going to be the repeating rounds. Rounds 3 and 4, you'll be repeating until you get to the very end. So this round and the next round will be repeating until you get to the end, unless you're making the buttonholes. So I've done 11 half double crochets here. I'm at the end. You can see the last stitch right there, but you see this weird bar that's over the last stitch? We're actually going to be working into that. So working into that bar that's laying over the stitches, you want to go in, pull a loop through, and then go into the stitch on the body right here that it's connected to. Pull a loop through, and then yarn over and pull a loop through all 3 there. We're doing a single crochet 2 together using that bar and the next stitch in the brim. Okay, and then we'll do the same as we did before. We'll slip stitch 3 in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And we'll turn our piece around. And we'll half double crochet into the back loops all the way up. So first we skip the 3 stitches, so 1, 2, 3. Skip those 3. 1, 2, 3, and then working in the back loops only, we'll half double crochet all the way up. There should be 12 stitches. For me, there should be 12 stitches all the way up. And you'll repeat this process all the way around until you get to the end of the pattern. So we'll do it one more time because it looks like we'll only need to do, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we'll only need to do probably one more before we reach where we need to make the buttonhole, which is pretty easy. I'll show you how to do that. Okay. So we just half double crochet all the way up. Okay. So that's round 3 and 4. Now for the rest of the piece, we'll just be repeating rounds 3 and 4. So let's repeat round 3. You want the yarn over on this side of the piece. So I'm going to move this over it. It's easier to do when you're not on a flat surface like this. And we will chain 2, 1 and 2, and then skip our 2 chains and half double crochet in only the back loops all the way down, stopping 1 before the last stitch. So for me, again, that's 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when we get to the buttons here, they'll be pretty easy to do. The buttons will be different based on how large you made the hat. Like the placement of the buttons will, and therefore the placement of the buttonholes will have to be different too. So here we're at our last stitch, and you can see that weird bar that's lying over the stitches there. So we want to go into that bar, yarn over and pull a loop through, and then go into the next stitch right here and pull a loop through that one, and then finish up by yarning over and pulling a loop through all the 3 there. Okay? And then you could finish this round by slip stitching into the next 3 stitches on the brim. Okay, so that's that repeat, and we'll do, looks like we'll do one more time. We'll be repeating round 4 now, so that was the repeat of round 3. So to repeat round 4, we will skip the 3 stitches here. So 1, 2, 3, and we'll just be half double crocheting into the back loops all the way up. And let me make sure that the next round is going to be our buttonhole round, because we don't want to put our button where it shouldn't be. So I think we might actually want to go down 1 and then back up. So the button's going to be dependent, like the buttonhole placement is going to be dependent, again, like I said, on where the button is. So for me, it looks like we'll be doing one more round and then our button. So now I'll just be doing one round of just chain 2, half double crochet in the back loops all the way down, stopping at that bar and doing that weird single crochet 2 together, and then slip stitch 3. And then I'll be right back and I'll show you how we're going to make our first buttonhole here. Okay, so I finished our round there. And now I'll be doing the repeat back up. But we want to make a buttonhole for this guy. So we're going to continue, start like normal. We'll skip our 3 slip stitches here. So 1, 2, 3. And we'll half double crochet in the back loops up, just like normal. But when we get to 2 stitches up from the bottom, so 1, 2, that looks pretty right. Okay. When we get 2 stitches up, we will chain 1, skip a stitch, so there's our stitch right here, and half double crochet, continue our half double crochet rounds. So that makes a little hole there. And I'll show you how to fix that, how to continue on when we go back down. You're basically just crocheting into the chain, but just in case you want to check. And this buttonhole, it might not work out, it might not look like it's perfectly lined up at first, but it doesn't really, as long as you're like pretty close to it, you'll be all right. And if your buttonhole was in a placement so that when you were working down, you want to do that buttonhole 2 stitches before, or 3 stitches before the end. So I'll show you what that means in just a second. I need to get this yarn untangled. Okay, so now we're working back down towards the buttonhole. So we'll chain 2, just like normal. We'll turn, and we'll half double crochet into the back loops all the way down. And I'll show you what it looks like if that buttonhole lined up. So we want to get to 3 stitches before the end. So we'll see where that last buttonhole is. We'll give you a good example. So if we were going down and we wanted a buttonhole like this, here's where we would do our last stitch. So you can see there's 3 more stitches to do. 1, 2, 3. So right here we would chain 1. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm 1 early. We want to do 3 more half double crochets after. So I'm sorry, that sounds confusing. So let me explain. We have 1, 2, 3 more stitches to do. So we need to pull that out. We want to have 3 more stitches to do after we make our buttonhole. So if we were working down and we wanted to add a buttonhole, right now is when we'd chain, because there are 3 more stitches to do. There's the first one, the second one, and then that weird bar one. So right here is where we would chain 1, skip a stitch, and continue on. But we already made our buttonhole, so we'll just half double crochet into the chain like normal. We'll just continue. Okay, and we're at this bar, so we'll do our fun little thing. Okay, and then we will slip stitch 3, 1, 2, and 3. And you don't have to make this buttonhole if you're not making the ears. I hope you already knew that. And I'm just going to do that repeat of back and forth, working only in the back loops until I reach my second buttonhole, which is right here, and then I'll make another buttonhole, and then I'll work all the way down until we get back to the front of the beginning of the brim, and I'll show you how to sew it together to finish off the brim. So I'll be back in just a bit once I make that whole brim. It might take me a little bit. Yeah, probably go watch a Christmas movie while I'm making it. All right, I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so I am at the end of my final repeat here, and I'm going to do that last bar, single crochet 2 together, and then I'm going to slip stitch 3 just like I have been doing normally. 1, 2, and 3. And now we want to sew this together, but we can sew it together by just continuing on in our repeat, but working into these front loops, so we don't have to actually like physically sew it together. So how I'm going to do that, so I'm going to grab my needle so I can show you where the stitches are. We want to work using these the chains from our beginning, the first chains we made. So we want to count down from where we feel our top is. So I think that this little guy right here is going to be the top stitch. So I want to count down 12 stitches from that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So this is going to be our first loop that we want to work into. And what I'll do is I'll put my crochet hook in there. Okay. There we go. And I'll pull this, our loop, our main loop, through that. And we're going to do this. And we're just going to pull that loop through our chain like that. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. Before we pull a loop through, we need to make sure this end right here goes through like that. Okay? Because we're going to be using it. So, do that. We pull our loop through that chain. Move that scissors out of the way. And now we'll be doing our half double crochets up the up like we normally would. So we skip our 3, 1, 2, 3. There's our first one. We'll half double crochet into that stitch. And now we'll take our hook out, go into the next chain up, and put our hook back in, and pull that loop through that next stitch. And we'll do another half double crochet, working only in those back loops. Pull our hook out into the next chain and pull the loop through. And we'll just keep doing that until I get to the very top. And this is going to sew everything together and make it look seamless, so you can't even see where the beginning and the end of the brim are. Okay, just a few more. So again, you just pull the hook out, you go up to the next chain right there, pull a loop through, half double crochet, hook out. Okay. And I just have a few more here, so I'll go ahead and finish these up. And when I get to the top, I'll cut back in real quick. Okay, so I'm just at the end here. I have one more to work into. Pull the loop through, and then we'll half double crochet into this one. And then I'll finish up by pulling the loop through the last chain here, like so, and pulling that loop through. And then I'll finish up by cutting the yarn. You kind of want a little bit of a long end, but it really doesn't matter. And I'll chain one and pull it all the way through. And now we just need to make sure that we can hide this tail end. So we'll grab our needle, thread it on, and we'll just hide this into these stitches here by just going around them like that. And you can go all the way down. You can go like halfway down. That's probably okay. I'll pull it all the way through. There we go. And we'll cut the tail here. And that's how you're going to make the brim for this. And you can see the buttonholes are both lined up. And we'll just turn it inside out. And this way the buttons are going to be hidden behind it, so that you only have to pull them out when you need them. So you can't really even see where the buttonhole is. I don't even know. Let's see where. There's one buttonhole. Yeah, I don't really know. Oh, here's the other buttonhole. So, and you can pull the buttons out whenever you want to add the ears on, which we'll be making in the next video. But for this video, we have one more thing to make, and you probably have guessed it. We need a pom-pom on the top. So let's put this guy to the side, and we'll grab our white yarn. And the way I make pom-poms, I actually don't need anything but my hands and a pair of scissors and some yarn. So I place my fingers like the peace sign, and I put my thumb in between the two fingers. And I'll begin, I'm sorry, you want to start by grabbing the tail end like that. I'm doing that little hand symbol. And then you'll start spinning the yarn around these two fingers. And don't be afraid to make a lot of these. Like, go around a few hundred times. Maybe not a few hundred, but like 100 times is not crazy. Like, this is going to be too small of a beanie. You need a decent amount of yarn here. You want it to get kind of big. All right, that's probably good. It looks kind of like a silk thing from a caterpillar there. And we'll cut the yarn, and we can pull our thumb out now. Keep this tail end that's in the inside pulled towards you. And we'll take this tail, and we can just place it in between your fingers in that hole right there. And if it's difficult to do just normally, you can stick a crochet hook in and pull it through. And we'll go ahead and go around the outside and then through that hole again. You can kind of see you want to pull it tight. And we'll go pull pretty tight and then go around it and go through again. And we'll pull it tight again. And then we can double knot these two ends. Actually, let's take it off of my hands right now. And then double knot and pull it tight. Do another one. Pull it tight. And then we'll go around it again. We just want to make sure that these pieces don't come loose because we will be cutting them. So go around it again. I'm going to go around it once more with this longer end. I probably should have cut that end a little bit longer, so if you're making this, maybe try to cut it a little bit longer. And pull it tight, tight. And then we'll double knot it here once more. 1 and 2. Okay, so now we have this cool pom-pom. Just kidding, we're not done yet. Now we get to do the fun part. We get to cut it. So we want to go through all these loops here and try to get your scissors in all of them. The more you get on the first cut, the less you're going to have to do in the long run. And we'll just cut it. I know it's a little scary, but it's all right. And try to find any loose ones that you missed as you went through. Okay. And then we'll do it on the other side. Go through. All right. Actually, that one was pretty good. It looks like I barely missed any. There's just one right there. Okay, and now finally, grab these two ends. Mine are really small, so I don't really want to lose them. And we want to shape this pom-pom so that it's better shaped, more like round, because it's kind of like wonky right now. So what I do is I'll just start cutting it until I feel like it's a sphere. Kind of. But be careful. You don't want to cut too much off. And we'll cut a little bit along the bottom rim. What a satisfying sound scissors are. Okay. Let's see how we got here. Yeah, try not to cut too much off because you don't want it to get too tiny on you. Let's cut this one. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Maybe a little bit right here. Those guys. Give him this pom-pom. Just a simple haircut. Okay. That's pretty good. And we'll get all this out of the way. Good for some stuffing later. And let's grab our top, our main part of the hat, and we'll go ahead and sew this pom-pom on using these two little tail ends. I'm going to use this little end first because I'm afraid that I'll lose it. What I like to do is I'll thread it on a needle. And I go and I look at the top, and I'll go in one end, and then let's just go. Actually, wait. Let's go in where we're out right here is where we want to go in with the other side. So we'll go in and out through a side right here, and then we'll go down through the very center. And I'll pull it through on the inside, and then we'll thread the other end. Sorry, I'm off the camera. There we go. And we'll go through the opposite side right here. And we'll come out right here. Okay? It doesn't really matter how you sew this thing on. The important part is that you just make sure it doesn't come loose by pulling it tight and going down through the center. Okay. And then I can feel it, but let me see if I can pull it inside out real quick so you can see me double knotting it. We go one end, and I see you. There we go. So we want to pull these guys tight, and we can double knot it. And you can cut these short, but I would suggest not cutting them short, just in case it ever does come off. It gives you something to sew it back on, but I think you'll be all right. So that's going to be how we make the main part of our Santa hat. There we go. Got to get some good pictures of these. I might need to fix the pom-pom just a little bit, but there we go. I actually really like it. I love the color that I chose. It's like a dark red. It's more Santa-y. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to go to our next video for how to make the ears, it's actually a Club Crochet exclusive. We're getting little threads here. Meaning that you'll need Club Crochet membership in order to view it. To get a Club Crochet membership, you can check out clubcrochet.com. You get things like extra patterns and projects, early access to patterns like this. So Club Crochet members got this pattern actually a few days earlier than everybody else. You also get kits that get mailed to your door with all the yarn and any pieces like eyes or stuffing that you'll need. This actually was this month's Club Crochet kit. So people that are Club Crochet members in the pro level get this as a kit this month, including the ears, which we'll be making in the next video. Okay, well, thanks so much for watching. Pasta la pizza, and happy hooking.